I was sipping my morning latte, the steam curling up like tiny whispers in my sunlit apartment, when my phone buzzed insistently. One message, bold and jagged on the screen, and suddenly my carefully constructed calm felt like it was cracking. "Don't bother coming home for Thanksgiving, Olivia. You're banned." My fingers trembled slightly as I set the cup down on my marble counter. The sunlight reflected off my silk blouse, and for a moment, I imagined it was shielding me, wrapping me in a thin, impervious layer. I let out a bitter laugh. 10,000 for $138 gone, and this is the welcome I got? I leaned against the windowsill, watching the city wake, pretending the tug in my chest wasn't real. My apartment was perfect. Art I loved, a view that made me feel like I'd made it. Yet beneath that veneer, there was a familiar hollow, the echo of every "you're not enough" my dad had thrown at me. I could almost hear the familiar clatter of silverware, my mother's voice trying to charm, my father's cold eyes cutting. And yet, I felt a strange flicker of amusement. They had no idea what I had become. I checked my reflection in the glass. Composed. Successful. But more importantly, unbreakable. And that message? That was the spark. I remember that Thanksgiving like it was yesterday, even though it had been years. The kitchen smelled of roasted turkey and cinnamon, comfort for everyone else, but a sting for me. I had saved every penny from my part-time job, scraping together $10,000 to finally contribute to the family dinner in a way that mattered. I thought they'd be proud. I thought maybe this time things would be different. Instead, my dad's sharp gaze cut through me like a knife. "You think throwing money at us changes anything?" His voice was low, but every syllable felt like it landed directly on my chest. I felt my cheeks heat, my throat tightening until swallowing was an effort. My mom hovered nearby, awkward, as if she wanted to step in but didn't know which side she was on. My older brother smirked, lounging against the doorway, and I felt every ounce of my effort crumble under their judgment. I could feel my hands shaking as I held the envelope of cash, the $10,000 that represented months of sacrifice. And in that moment, I realized something painful. My worth wasn't measured in bills or gifts. They had no interest in seeing me succeed. Grandma's words echoed in my mind, the soft voice that had always understood me. "Olivia, you don't need their approval. You just need your courage." I clutched the little silver locket she had given me years ago, a symbol of faith in myself, not their validation. That night, I tucked it under my blouse, close to my heart, letting its weight anchor me. I remember standing up, my hands still trembling, but my decision crystal clear. "I'll do this my way," I whispered, more to myself than anyone else. It was a quiet rebellion, the first step toward independence. They couldn't see it yet, but I was walking away from their rules, their expectations, and their pity. And I would make them remember me, not as the child they dismissed, but as the woman they could never ignore. After that Thanksgiving, I moved into a tiny apartment with peeling wallpaper and a view of a brick alleyway that smelled faintly of garbage and rain. It wasn't glamorous, but it was mine, and for the first time in years, I felt the quiet thrill of possibility. I kept Grandma's silver locket against my heart every morning, a talisman reminding me that I didn't need permission to build a life worth living. I threw myself into work like my life depended on it because it did. Long nights blurred into early mornings, and every small victory felt monumental. I met Marcus, a seasoned marketing consultant who believed in me before I fully believed in myself. "You have an eye for what others miss," he said, handing me my first real client contract. "Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." His faith was contagious, and for the first time, I felt like my dreams weren't fragile, like they could actually take shape. The first few months were brutal. I learned to code, to pitch, to negotiate, and to sit through endless meetings where I was the youngest, and often the only woman. Some nights, I stared at the ceiling, doubt gnawing at me, wondering if I'd overestimated my courage. But every morning, I'd touch the locket, take a deep breath, and remind myself that the woman I used to be, the one they dismissed, didn't exist anymore. My small wins started piling up. The first profitable campaign. The The first client who called me back, not because of my money, but because of my vision. The first check that made me think, I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving. I kept these victories quiet, posting modest updates on social media, never letting my family see how far I'd climbed. They couldn't know that the $10,000 they refused to appreciate had become a stepping stone, that their rejection had fueled a fire they'd never see coming. Every wall I painted in my apartment, every framed contract on my desk, every carefully chosen piece of art wasn't just decoration. It was a testament to my journey, a secret museum of the woman I was becoming. Success tasted like late-night coffee, like the faint smell of rain on concrete, like the quiet satisfaction of proving to myself that resilience could become power. And through it all, that locket never left me. A small silver circle, heavy with meaning, reminding me that my value was never theirs to decide. I had built a life in the shadows of their doubt, and soon they would have no choice but to see it, truly see it. The doorbell rang, sharp and deliberate, echoing through my sleek, modern apartment. I took a deep breath, smoothing my blouse and adjusting the cuff of my tailored blazer. Today, my parents and brother thought they were coming to see me, their struggling, naive little girl, awkwardly trying to make a place for herself. They didn't know I had rewritten the story. When I opened the door, my dad's jaw tightened before he even spoke. My mom's smile was forced, the kind that tries to charm but trembles under the weight of guilt. My brother's eyes darted around, curious and skeptical, trying to reconcile the image of me before with the woman standing before him now. "Olivia," my mom began, voice wavering. We thought we'd." "Come in," I said, cutting her off gently. "I'll show you." They stepped inside, their shoes clicking against the polished hardwood, and I led them into my office. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, reflecting off abstract art that had cost more than my old car. My desk gleamed, not from excess, but precision. Every item deliberately chosen, every object a testament to my journey. Framed certificates, a few awards, a photo of me shaking hands with the CEO, and a small stack of contracts. And there, shining softly on the corner of my desk, my silver locket. The room fell silent. They scanned everything, disbelief written across their faces. My father's lips pressed together tightly. My mother's hand hovered near her mouth. My brother's smirk had vanished, replaced by wide-eyed astonishment. I leaned casually against my desk, letting the silence stretch just long enough. Then, in a calm, even tone that made the words sting, "The $10,000 I gave you for Thanksgiving? I used it to invest in myself. I built my own company. I have clients all over the country. My net worth is over $2 million now. And that's not counting the property I own." They froze. My dad's face paled, a flash of shame crossing his features. My mom's hand trembled, and my brother's eyes were fixed on me like he'd just realized he'd underestimated someone his entire life. "I didn't need your approval then, and I certainly don't need it now," I continued, letting my gaze sweep over them, absorbing every reaction. "But I wanted you to see this, see that the girl you dismissed isn't just surviving. She's thriving. She's unstoppable." The air was thick with tension. My father opened his mouth, but no words came. My mother's eyes glistened, and my brother shifted uncomfortably, as if trying to shrink under the weight of their ignorance. I let it linger, the weight of every dismissal, every mocking comment, every moment they thought I'd fail. All of it had led to this moment, and now the power balance had shifted. I walked around my desk slowly, letting the elegance of the office, the evidence of my hard work, and the quiet confidence I exuded speak louder than any words could. Every detail mattered. The polished floors, the minimalist decor, the art I had chosen not to impress them, but to express me. And then I paused, letting them absorb the truth. I let the silence linger a beat longer, savoring the shift in energy. For the first time in decades, they were on the other side of the table. I had the upper hand, not out of revenge, but out of clarity. I knew exactly what had to change if they wanted to be part of my life on my terms. "Here's the deal," I said, my voice calm but firm, the kind of tone that leaves no room for negotiation. If we're going to move forward, there are conditions. And yes, I'm serious. My father flinched, but I didn't pause. First, no more criticism disguised as concern. I will not be made small for your comfort. If you want to be in my life, you respect my choices. All of them. I looked at my mother next. Her eyes shimmered with guilt. You've always tried to mediate, but you enabled their cruelty. That stops now. If you want to be part of my family again, you need to speak your truth and act on it. No more pretending everything is fine when it's not. My brother shifted uncomfortably, arms crossed. I gave him a small, almost imperceptible smile. And you need to stop underestimating people, including me. Channel that competitiveness into your work, your dreams, not mocking your sister. I walked over to my bookshelf and picked up the silver locket Grandma had given me, holding it out for them to see. This, I said softly, is a reminder. Courage matters more than compliance. Integrity matters more than approval. I have been patient, but my patience is not infinite. You get one chance to meet me here, on my terms, with respect. They were silent, and for the first time, I saw comprehension dawning. My dad's shoulders sagged slightly, as if he were acknowledging his failures without words. My mother's hands unclenched, tentative, but willing. My brother's expression softened, maybe realizing that respect, not fear, was the new currency in this family. I didn't offer forgiveness lightly. It was not a gift. It was a challenge, a chance for them to rise. If you're willing to change, I'll welcome you. But if not, then this. I gestured around the room. This life, this family, will move forward without resentment, but also without compromise. There was a weight in the room, a mixture of shame, relief, and awe. I could feel it settle on all of us. The power dynamic had shifted entirely. I was no longer the girl they dismissed, the one they tried to control. I was Olivia Hayes, strong, accomplished, and unyielding. And for the first time, I realized that setting boundaries wasn't coldness. It was love, the kind that demands respect, honesty, and courage from everyone who wanted to be near me. Weeks passed, and slowly, I began to see the changes take hold. My father no longer offered unsolicited criticism. Instead, he asked questions, genuinely curious about my projects and decisions. My mother's smiles felt real, grounded in understanding rather than fear or habit. Even my brother had started calling me for advice on his own work, a tentative acknowledgement that I had earned his respect, not by money, not by rebellion, but by unwavering dedication to my own path. I would catch myself smiling at small victories, a text from my dad that read simply, "Proud of you," a phone call from my mother asking how she could help one of my clients. These were minor, ordinary moments, yet monumental in the context of the years we'd lost to misunderstanding and hurt. I realized that the power I had claimed wasn't about triumphing over them. It was about creating space for real connection, for respect, and for growth. One evening, I sat by the window with a cup of coffee, the city lights flickering like 1,000 tiny reminders that life was vast and full of possibility. I touched the silver locket Grandma had given me years ago, still warm from the glow of my hands. It wasn't just a symbol of courage anymore, it was a symbol of everything I had built: resilience, independence, and the quiet strength to forgive while demanding respect. I thought about the Thanksgiving I had been banned from, about the $10,438 I had invested in my future, rather than their approval. The memory no longer stung. It fueled me, a reminder that rejection can be a catalyst, not a chain. I had become the woman they had underestimated. Yes, but more importantly, I had become the woman I needed to be for myself. And as I sipped my coffee, feeling the warmth spread through me, I whispered, more to myself than anyone else, a truth I had carried silently for years. I didn't just survive their judgment, I thrived beyond it. In that moment, I knew the journey wasn't over, but I had claimed my place in the world, fully and unapologetically. I had set boundaries, built a life, and proven that strength paired with grace could transform not just my own story, but the hearts of those who had once doubted me.